Okie dokie. It is, what is today? April 4th. Saturday. It's 8:41, bright and early. Got my coffee. I'm ready to get back into some React on Free Code Camp. We're about halfway through, I think. Let me actually go back out of here and see. Yeah, maybe a little less than halfway through. So we're into this section about working with state in React. So without further ado, let's get rolling here. What's the first thing that they want us to do? Component's already stateful. Define an h1 tag that renders the name from the component's state. All right, are we already doing this? Oh, okay. This one's already. Must have been the very last one I did last time, because that was already done. Another way to access state in a component. In the render method before the return statement, you can write JavaScript directly. Right, okay. Define a const called name. Alrighty. Const name. And set it to the value of the state. This dot state dot name. Right. And then should have a key name with value. Free code camp stored in the state. Should render h1 header. Okay, and they want to have this name in here. Oops. Free code camp. All right, and then anything else? Oh, easy. So all they're demonstrating here is just that you can declare or use these use state within code before you actually render it out here. So if you wanted to do something like to uppercase, now it's all uppercase. Let's see if it still lets me pass the test. Now it's going to be mad because it's not matching the string that they passed. Cool. Set in the state. This dot set state, username, blah blah blah. There's a button element in the code editor which has an on-click handler. Cool. So they've got this button here. They have this on-click event handler, and it's referencing the handle click method that they already declared up here. And they want me to use the this.setState and set the name to React Rocks. All right, is that working? Yep. Anything else? Should stay there. Cool. Okay. Ooh. So this is actually something I've always been a little confused about in React, just because I've never really looked into it. And again, I mentioned in the last stream that when I started using React, it was much later, I think, than when Free Code Camp developed this course. So I think a lot of the concepts that they use might be a little bit behind. I don't know that, I'm not sure that there's even, like, I've had to do this before when I've been working with React. So I'll be interested to kind of read through this and see if I have a better understanding of it based on what they're telling me. So class method typically needs to use the this keyword so it can access properties on the class such as state and props inside the scope of the method. There are a few ways to allow your class to access, or class method to access this. See, I always thought it just had access because we declared it up this.state. For some reason, I always thought we just had access to it. One common way to explicitly bind this in the constructor is to explicitly bind this in the instructor, so this becomes bound to the class methods when the component is initialized. You may have noticed the last challenge used this.handleClick, this.handleClick.bind this for its handleClick method constructor. Then, when you call a function like this.setState within your class method, this refers to the class and will not be undefined. Interesting. Bind this. .handleClick. Bind this. This, yeah, I like how they say this. The this keyword is one of the most confusing aspects of JavaScript, but it plays an important role in React. Gotcha. Yeah, so it kind of seems like, and I guess this is maybe what I understood about this before, but the this keyword is that in order for you to be able to call this dot set state and actually have it refer to the class, you have to bind this to the method, I guess. So so they're saying this dot handle click dot bind this. My component should return, let's see. What am I missing here? My component should return a div element that wraps two elements. Clicking the button. However, the method doesn't work because it's using the this keyword. That is undefined. Fix it by explicitly binding this to handle click method. See, I thought that's what we were doing here. Oh, I see. They want this dot handle click equals this. Is that what they want? Oh, no. Something else is missing here. Equals this dot handle click bind to this. By explicitly binding this to handle click method. The components constructor. Oh, I just assumed they had a click handler in there. Oh, and I have to use this dot handle click. There we go. That's better. I do want to briefly go take a look at bind dn and see if there's a better explanation of this, which is an exotic function object. Wraps around the original function. Okay, this actually might be a really good way to understand what's going on here. So we have a module that's just an object with a property x, 42, and a method, which is getX, that just returns this .x. So it returns the reference to this number 42 here. Then they have an unbound getX, which goes to the module, calls the property, calls the method getX, and they show that if you console.log this unbound getX, it's going to result in an undefined. Huh. So it's, I guess that's really strange. So it's like it doesn't actually call the method in there, but then if you bind it, if you take unbound x and you bind it to the module, then you get 42. Still don't fully understand this, but it seems kind of like it has to do with the fact that the module is instantiated with 42. So when you say when you're not binding it to it, it doesn't have an instance to go to maybe, but when you bind it, it's saying bind to the module, because then you would actually have the value that's declared, or that's part of that module. I don't think that's right though, because this isn't like a class, so it's not like it doesn't have an instance. It should have an instance. Provide a value with a given sequence of arguments preceding any provided. And the new function is called. I'm gonna go look. There was a Stack Overflow article that looked interesting. bind creates a new function that will have this set to the first parameter passed to bind. Okay. Set. Okay. I'm going to break that down for a little bit. So I'm going to go back and open both of these. So bind creates a new function that sets this keyword to whatever was passed in. So module, okay. Can I type in here? Oh, nice, okay. So in this case, and this is it's such a confusing keyword because I'm using the word this when I speak, so it's really hard to like make this make sense. So I'll refer to it as the this keyword. In this module, they use the this keyword, and what I believe this is saying is when you use the .bind method, it's going to just create another function. So when they go here and they say .bind, this whole thing here, this whole line is just another function. And it's saying take this module passed into our bind function and make it available in the this function. So it seems like if I was to just say, okay, they're creating a new function and they're taking in module and they're saying pass in the module, unbound x already equaled get x. So that's kind of weird to me. Like, wouldn't unbound get x be the same? Unbound get x would be the same thing as a function that doesn't take anything but returns this .x. So then maybe because we're using unbound get x, the other thing that .bind does is it includes the already existent function there. So there would already be a function in here. Oh, okay. Hang on. Let's imagine this a little differently. Let's imagine that, so unbound get x is this function that we have up here, return this .get x. Let's imagine that then when bind gets called, the functionality of unbound get x was still just return this .x, but there was no this. So what .bind is saying is take module and pass it in here and say this equals module. And that way, when we call this .x, this function, or I guess the this .x actually exists because it's saying access x of module. I think that makes a lot more sense now. So we're saying let's bind, let's take a function that doesn't have any, I mean it's just saying we just want the basic functionality from this module. Because when you say module.getX, you're not saying make this module. You're saying just take the getX function. And when you say bind, you're saying I want to actually, within this constant that we declared, I want to make sure that this is available as module because it's actually necessary for this function to work. Right? I think that's kind of what they're saying here. Using an example that shows how to use a bind to pass a member around. So they create a button that sets content to content, and they update the prototype for the click to a function that consoles out this.content was clicked. Then they say loose click. They just want to basically declare a function that doesn't that just refers to the click method. on my button. But because of how JavaScript works, when you say, I want a new function that's based on this function, prototype.click, it's only taking the functionality out of here. It's not saying, it has no idea what this is. Because in this, I don't know if it's memory or what, in this representation of this variable here, there is no content. Content was never set. But by binding it into this button object, or instance of this button object, now they have this content available. Okay, I think I understand that now. I had to take a brief break. So on this front, when we think about how this plays into React, I'm curious what the difference is here, because I think what's really confusing about this is, in this case, is that they're using this, I think, of the base component or something. Like, it's not like the other examples we just looked at. Because the constructor defines this .state, which is giving us this object with text inside of it. The handle click method references this. And so if we didn't have this, let me just make sure. There is no text to reference. So instead, set state. Or is there no state to, maybe there's no state to reference. That might be what's happening. There's no state for it to reference. So when it calls set state, there is no state for the set state to actually call. I don't know. I have a feeling that this has to do with the base component, the base React component, needing to know about this. Or maybe that this in our current component is actually based on the this within the base component, and so handle click needs to reference the base component because that's where all of this stuff's actually being updated. It's extremely confusing. I have always had a hard time understanding it. I feel like I understand the bind part of it maybe a little bit better today, but it's still, the way that it's used in React is still kind of weird to me. Okay, use state to toggle an element. Cool. My component should return a div element which contains a button. So I always like to just run these tests and see, yeah, because they always like do some of this for you. It's just gonna waste time if you're sitting there looking at it. And the state should toggle visibility from true to false. Okay, so we have they want us to just declare the whole thing. Toggle visibility is a method that you can call. It's going to access set state. Right, and oh, hang on. I goofed. And it's going to change the visibility to whatever the visibility, the opposite of whatever the visibility is now. So we'll say visibility and then throw a not in front of it. And then we also need to do our bind. So we'll say this dot toggle visibility equals this dot toggle visibility dot bind, and then pass in this. Am I remembering how to do that correctly? Now you see me, now you don't. Now you see me, now you don't. Cool. Let's see if that does the trick. None of this function should be passed to set state. Oh, I guess I could pay attention and see what they're saying here. They want us to do it by passing you can also use a form without props. It's interesting that this works, but they're wanting me to do this other option here, state equals and instead we'll do state.visibility. I don't understand at this point, since there's no this, that probably still works hopefully. I don't understand at this point how, like why we would still need to have, oh, because right, this is, so we still need to bind it because set state as a method refers to this, which is in the base React component, I think. That's why. So they were just showing that you can eliminate the use of like getting what the state is now to actually look at what the state was previously. Okay. All right. Let's see what's next here. I already passed this one. So go to next challenge. All right, simple counter. You can design a more complex stateful component by combining the concepts covered so far. These include initializing state, writing methods that set state, and assigning click handlers to trigger these methods. All right, so they already have the click handlers, it looks like, for the increment and decrement, and then they have a reset one, and they show the current count. They've already set up the count, and so what we need is an increment method, a decrement method, and a reset method. So go ahead and just define those now. Decrement and reset. Okay, so increment, we'll call this dot set state. In fact, all of these, I probably could have just copied and pasted some of this. Dang it, I did it again. Call this dot set state. We'll take the existing state. We'll use bubbles to say that we're going to return this thing as an object, and we will say count equals state plus plus. State.count. My bad. Cool. And then we'll do the exact same thing here, and then minus minus. And then we'll do I feel like I just need to set state, and I feel like I don't need to actually pass in this other garbage. Count equals 0. All right, and then we have to do our bindings for this. Oops. Ooh, there we go, this. Okay, so increment, not working. What's happening? State dot count. This dot set state. Unclick this dot increment. Should I reset? What's going on here? State count, do I need to do +1? Maybe I need to do +1 because it's not like a normal, yeah. I was thinking I could do those, or -1. I think I have to do +1 because plus plus is saying update the actual state count. I don't know if it returns a value. So increment, increment, decrement, decrement, increment, 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 reset. Cool, that was fun. Create a controlled input. Your application may have more complex interactions between state and rendered UI. For example, form control elements such as text input, such as input and text area maintain their own state in the DOM as the user types. With React, you can move the mutable state into React components state into the React component state. The user input becomes part of the application state, so React controls the value of the input field. Okay. Controlled element to create a controlled input element. First, create a method called handleChange that has a parameter called event. All right. handleChange, event. And event.target.value. We'll see what we want to do with that in a second. So update the input property of your component's state with this new string. Gotcha. That's what we're going to do with it. We'll call this .set state. And we're going to call input, and we're going to paste this guy into it. And I really hate that we have to do these binding methods. I don't know if I've just never had to do these before, so it's so weird to me that that they make us do this, because I feel like it's just like done for you nowadays. I don't know how, but I just feel like I've never had to do this for all these. Okay, and we've got, we need to show this, or what do they want us to do? In an input field or something? Create an input element, okay. Input, type text probably, or they even need that, add a value attribute. Value equals this dot state dot input. And onChange equals this dot handleChange event. You type in it, or maybe I just have to do this because it's gonna assume that that's what we're gonna do. Set as the input property. You type in the local box. Type equals text. Is that what they want? Why are we not getting any? Nothing's rendering here. Let's see what the console says. Target of undefined. Okay. Cannot read target of undefined. So it's probably something to do with how we're passing our event in here. Let's try that first. Oh, okay. Easy enough. And is that gonna work? Nice, okay. So this is kind of cool, like, you could set it up so that it just automatically multiplies everything. Oh, of course it's gonna do it as soon as you type it too. So we'd actually have to have two separate states, I suppose. All right. Create a controlled form. Last challenge showed that React can control the internal state for certain elements like input and text area, which makes the controlled components. This applies to other form elements as well, including a regular HTML form element. The myForm component is set up with an empty form and a submit handler. The submit handler will be called when the form is submitted. We've added a button which submits the form. You can set it, see it has type set to submit, indicating it is the button controlling the form. Add the input element in the form and set its value and onChange attributes like the last challenge. Okay, let's start there. So we've got an input, we've got a value equals this.state.input, and a onChange equal to this.handleChange, and what's next? You should then complete the handle submit method so that it sets the component state property submit to the current input value in the local state. Okay. So why do they want me to change? Finally add an H1. Oh, okay, gotcha. So on click, I think that's what we're gonna do. On click, handle submit. Oops, this dot handle submit. And handle submit takes an event, and so it sets the component. Okay, so I'm gonna do event dot prevent default, I think. Oops, default, and then set the let's see, props. This dot set. Ooh, getting laggy there. Set state, and set it to submit equals this dot state dot submit. Or maybe I should just do this thing where they do state and then do state dot submit. Okay, what else? State dot submit, and then we have to do a H1 to show the value. Should render the value of the submit field H1, and we are calling this dot state dot submit H1. So test. That didn't work. This dot state dot submit, and let's make sure that our stuff's actually rendering. Okay. So we are getting, this part's connected, so it's got to be somewhere in here. On click. Is there an on submit thing? Should complete state property. Oh, derp. This is what we need to do. This dot handle submit event dot prevent default. Dot set state. So I wonder if the problem actually is that is either that we have this thing here, we didn't need it, nope, or if it's that we're trying to use the existing. Oh, wait a second, hang on. That's the problem. I'm just setting it to itself, so there's nothing in it. There we go. Cool. And we can type that in again. Nice. Is that all we need to do? All right. Pass state as props to child components. So a lot of examples that pass props to child JSX elements. For example, maybe you have an app component that renders a nav bar. Among other components in your app, you have a state that contains a lot of user information, but the nav bar only needs to access the user's username so it can display it. You pass that piece of state to the nav bar component as a prop. This pattern illustrates some important paradigms in React. The first is unidirectional data flow. State flows in one direction down the tree of your application's components from the stateful parent component to child components. The child components only receive the state data they need. The second is that the complex stateful apps can be broken down into just a few or maybe single stateful component. The rest of your components simply receive state from parent as props and render a UI from the state. It begins to create separation where state management is handled by one part of the code and UI rendering in another. The principle of separating state logic and UI from logic is React's key principles. When used correctly, it makes the design of complex stateful applications much easier to manage. The MyApp component is stateful and renders a navbar. Okay, there it is. It's rendering a navbar. Pass the name property in its state down to the child component. Okay, so the child component is this navbar. We've got props, and we need to give it a name. This.props.name, and instead of our navbar here, we call name equals, and we do this.state.name, and that was really easy. Yeah, cool. Pass a callback as props. You can pass state as props to child components, but you're not limited to passing data. You can also pass handler functions or any method that's defined in a React component to a child component. This is how you allow your child components to interact with their parent components. There are 3 components outlined in the code editor. The MyApp component is the parent that will render the get input and render input child components. Add the get input component to the render method in MyApp, and then pass it as a prop called input, assigned to input value from MyApp's state. Let's go ahead and break that down a little bit. So we want to take get input component to the render method. Okay, so we've got our get input component, then pass it a prop called input assigned to input value. Input equals this.state.input value. Oops, value. Okay. And then handle change equals handle change this.handle change. My bad. This.handle change, and now we are getting stuff. And how do we actually demonstrate? If we next add the render input. Oh, gotcha. Render input method, create a prop equal to the input value. Oops, value. This.input value. This.state.input value. Input render. Cool. So this is just demonstrating that we've taken our get input element, we're passing our state input value into it, and then we're passing handle change, which is the updater method that sets the state on our state in our parent element. We're passing that into get element or get input so that the input element can utilize that method to update the state. And then the render input just shows that it's getting the state from this top level too. So that's cool. So you have a situation where the sibling element is like this sibling is aware of what's in the sibling's input bar because it's telling the parent about it. So one big happy family. That's funny. So they are aware of the fact that component will mount is like going away. In 2018, they talked about this. That's funny. Okadook. React has several, let's see, component will mount, did mount, component update, did update, next several lessons. Component will mount lifecycle method will be deprecated. Component will mount method is called before render method when a component is being mounted to the DOM. My component should render a div element console.log should be in component will mount. What? My component is definitely rendering a div. I like how they didn't say anything. They're just like, console.log. Like, is that all I need to do? I just console.log. I don't even need to put anything in it. That was a really crappy challenge, honestly. Like, it wasn't even a challenge, but it was just, I feel like, a very poorly done thing. I think this should just go away. They're probably working on it, honestly, and God bless them. It's a charity, for God's sakes. So I can't be that upset that this free thing, how dare this free thing not have everything perfectly ironed out. It's ridiculous. Most web developers at some point, best practice, to place API and did mount. Okay. All right, so what are they doing here? Set state active users 1273. And we want to show active users. So this dot set date dot active users. What? Oh, okay. So if I do 4, should wait a little bit. I see. Okay, so it waits a little bit, but it still lets you render all your stuff, is what they're showing. Add event listeners. Implement a did mount method is also the best place to attach any event listeners you need to add for specific functionality. React provides a synthetic event system which wraps the native event system present in browsers. I've already been using some of these synthetic event handlers such as onClick. Attach an event listener in the component did mount method for keydown events. Okay. So handle key press. Handle key press. So what are they saying? Do I need to use their event listener or do I use the event system? Synthetic event system is great for most interactions you'll ever. I see. So they're saying that they want me to actually attach a real event listener. All right. So document dot add event listener, and you pass in keydown and a function and what's next here? What do they want? So we're just going to call the handle key press. Handle key press. Handle enter. Oh, I see. Gotcha. So handle key press. This dot handle key press. This dot handle key press. Event. And I guess I need to pass an event in here too. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Keydown listener should be removed from the document. Oh, right. Component will unmount. Document dot remove event listener. Keydown. It's concerning that there's nothing is rendering. What? Takes an event. You can pass the same arguments to. Oh, okay. So what? They want this function too. That's kind of weird. Okay. I like how there's no like. Why is there no render out here? How is this possibly like? How is this passing? What's going on over here? Inspect. This has happened before. Actually, I noticed in one of these React challenges that it's not, not supported in this version. Act ... Add event listener on event target. 2 arguments required, but only 1 present. Huh? Add event listener. I definitely passed 2 arguments, did I not? Interesting. Reference error input is not defined. I'm going to clear these out and then change just do that. Where's, oh, there it is. Okay, well, I have no idea what's wrong here. It looks like something about the version of React that they're using. Optimize re-renders with should update. So far, if any component receives new state or new props, it re-renders itself and all its children. This is usually okay, but React provides a lifecycle method that you can call when child components receive new state or props, and declare specifically if the components should update or not. All right, so we have should component update, component did update. By comparing the props, you must, the method must return a Boolean value that returns. Okay. The should component update method is added in a component called only Evans. Currently, this method returns true, so only Evans re-renders every time it receives new props. Modify the only or the method so only Evans updates. So only Evans updates. Only Evans updates only if the value of its new props is even. Okay. So is this doing something? Okay, cool. Interesting. This is kind of a weird way to, I feel like a weird way to do this. It's cool, but it just seems kind of weird. So next props, next state. Should component update. Okay. So what are we doing? If next, can I just call this like, is it like regular props? Next props dot value modulus 2. I'm gonna do only if it's only evens. That's funny. I was thinking like Evans, like Chris Evans. Only evens, duh. Next props modulus 2 equals 0. Might I make this easier for myself? Just return this. Just return that. I don't understand the point of this next state thing. Yeah, okay, so that's working. I don't really know, are we supposed to do something with the next state? See order events. Should I update component re-rendered? Yeah, that's cool. Cool, so that should be the answer, right? Yep. All right, introducing inline styles. Taking a break and doing inline styles. Okay. And they want a, okay, style equals, and we do our outer tags, and then we say it's an object. This confused me at first when I saw this, but it's just saying start, the first parenthesis saying start doing JavaScript, stop doing JavaScript. That's what these guys mean. And then inside of here, we're just saying this is an object in JavaScript. And then they want it to be red. Oh, and it can't do that because it's an actual object. And they want it to have a font size. You never use a dash like that. You always do font size, take whatever it is and capitalize the next thing after the hyphen. And that's going to be 72, and you don't have to pass the pixels in there. Shouldn't have to pass the pixels in there. And I'm also silly because you have to pass the, you can't just do what you would do with CSS and just pass whatever the word is in there. You have to treat it like an object. Cool. That good? That's good. Adding inline styles. If you have a large set of styles, you can assign a style object to a constant to keep your code organized. Uncomment the styles constant and declare an object with 3 style properties and their values. Give a div color. Give the div a color of purple, a font size of 40, and a border of 2px solid purple. Okay. So what do they want? Okay, so just const styles equals object color colon, oops, yeah, no, color colon purple, font size colon 40, border colon 2px solid purple. Oops, okay, that's good. 2px solid purple, and then set the style attribute equal to styles constant. Okay. Styles. What's going on here? This is weird. Is it because it's declared after the fact? Yeah. What am I missing? Object. Styles variable should be an object with 3 properties. Color purple, font size 40, border 2px solid purple. What? Oh, maybe, oh, they even declared it up here. That's my bad. As most things are with this. Use the advanced JavaScript. Use advanced JavaScript in React render method. We're gonna get advanced. Jeez, this looks like a pain. Oh wait, it's already got the answers. I was like, do I have to go out here and write 20 answers? Okay, let's run tests and see what we have done already. Like literally everything is done except for this one thing right here. Text is entered into input element and button is clicked. The magic 8-ball component should return a p element that contains a random element from possible answers. Alright, so are they already like doing the random stuff? Yeah, they're already, like they did all of the work, basically. It looks like all we need to do is hit the state for whatever the actual value is. Possible answers, random index, user input. Oh, I see. We just do random index and hit the possible answers array. Like so. Will I get good at React? Without a doubt. Hey, look at that. It's because I'm doing free code camp. Okay. Render with an if-else condition. Okay, I love just running the test first and seeing. When display is set to false, only a div and button should render. Only a div and button should render. Huh, so they want... Ah, yeah, I see. So they want to do something like... I wonder if they'll let me do... Just because I don't like using the if statements. I'd rather do the and syntax. If I do display and uh-oh, it's not happy about that. Why is it not happy about that? Am I missing something? Display, oh, because I keep forgetting that this is not a functional component. Okay, is that it? Render the method should use an, okay, fine, if you're gonna make me do it. If it's probably gonna get mad. If this dot state dot display I can't do this, can I? They want me to, this is so dumb. They want me to do this the stupid way, honestly. I think. I think what they want me to do is something like, if this dot state dot display, then return this whole freaking object, and else return this object. I think that's what they want. Oh, without this guy. Stupid. Is that what they want? That's so stupid. Look at how much code that is. That I could have done without. I could have done with just right here with like 3, maybe a single line or 2. To duplicate all of this code. That's dumb. That's all I gotta say about that. Use and for a more concise conditional. That's funny. They were taking me. It was all a Mr. Miyagi training. They were just showing me the pain so that I could appreciate what they're about to teach me. Yep, that's funny. Maybe we should stop griping and just do the challenge. Ternary expressions. I never really used ternary expressions before React, before I did React, and now I use them all the time. You may enter, you shall not pass. Submit. Button 1, button 2, button 3. What are we doing here? The code editor has 3 constants defined within the check user age components render method. They are called button 1, button 2, and button 3. Each of these is assigned a simple JSX expression representing a button element. First, initialize the state of check user age with input and user age. Okay, do I have... What? Initialize the state. Oh, gotcha. So input. Is that what they want? I don't even know. This dot input equals. Oh wait, no. This dot state equals input 0. I don't know. And user age. Oh no, it is an empty string. Cool. Once the component is rendering information to the page, user should have a way to interact with it. Within the component's return statement, set up a ternary expression. All right. This dot state dot. What do we say? Input. They want input or age. When the page first loads, render the submit button. Button 1 to the page. Then, when a user enters the age and clicks the button, render a different button based on the age. Okay. So we're like creating a gateway for a porn site, basically, that checks to see if they're over the age of 18 or not. Or a cigarette site or something, I don't know. This dot state dot input equals empty. Actually, these are, I think that's a falsy value, so I can just do this. And I like to do new lines here like this. What's going on here? Huh, what are you talking about? We will return button 1, else we will return Oh, they're gonna make me like do a double ternary. Is that what they want? Let's just do button 2 for now. Figure out what's going on here. Oh, I'm already in a JS. I'm already in. Oops. Whoa, what the? What am I doing? What's that state? There you go. Okay, so that. Then we do another check. And if this dot state dot age, what is it called? User age is less than 18. Less. Oh my goodness. Oh, we got some fun stuff happening. Browser's freaking out. It's like trying to re-render everything every second or something. We'll do button 3. Else button 2. Enter your age, so it shows the submit button. 12, you shall not pass. 18, you shall not pass. 19, you shall not pass. Something's not right here. Let's try making sure that, because I feel like that should be less than or equal to 18, you shall not pass. User age is greater than 18 though, right? Am I missing something? Wait, you may enter. Yeah, if it's less than or equal to 18. Should just be if it's less than 18. Let's do 19. Is 19 less than 18? Am I missing something? Oh, does it need to parse the number for this to actually work? Because the user age is not even a number, so it's probably doing like the length of it. So what is it, parse int or something like that? What is it? Get confused with these methods across languages. Parse int 18, you may enter. 17, you may enter. 16, you may enter. Something's not right. Unless it's just not updating every time. You may enter. 12-year-olds, you can come on in. Button 3, what's going on here? I'm missing something here. It'll change. Input, and user age. User age is what we're checking, right? Oh, derp. Input. I am 12 years old. I am 14, I'm 15, 16, 17, 18. There you go. It's because I was using the wrong thing. I can't pass. I can't do it. But if I go up to 18, I can enter. Cool. And then let's see what, they might have some other things they want us to do here. Once a number has been submitted and the value of the input is once again changed, the button should return to reading input. Okay. What isn't state.input? This does have state. Huh, why wouldn't they just change the input? Input, hold on, back to that. Isn't that all they need? 12, 13. I'm 123 years old. What the hell? So this is checking to see if the state of input is empty. It starts out empty. And then here we say submit. Let's make sure the submit's actually doing something. Input, on change, button 3, unclick this. Yeah, so the submit button Now wait a second, we're not even like, there's no click handler on the actual you may enter button. Is that what they want? I'm 143. There you go, okay. Is that what they wanted? What? When a number greater than or equal to 18 is entered into the input element and the button is clicked, the button's inner text. Oh, hang on. I made this way too complicated for myself. This does not need to happen. What needs to happen is instead of just actively checking like this, we need to only render when the age has been set. Right? Because 123, submit. You may enter 14, submit. You shall not pass. And it still probably wants it to go back to default. Oh no, okay, that's easy. Render conditionally from props. So far you've seen how to do if, else, and null, and the ternary operator. However, there's an important topic left to discuss that lets you combine any of these concepts in another powerful React feature, props. Using props to conditionally render code is very common with React developers. That is, they use the value of a given prop to automatically make decisions about what to render. In this challenge, you'll set up a child component to make rendering decisions based on props. You'll also use the ternary operator, but you can see how several of the other concepts that were covered in the last few challenges might be just as useful in this context. The code editor has two components that are partially defined for you. A parent called Game of Chance and a child called Results. They are used to create a simple game where the user presses a button to see if they win or lose. First, you'll need a simple expression that randomly returns a different value every time it is run. You can use math.random. This method returns a value between 0 and 1. So for 50-50 odds, use math.random in your expression. Statistically speaking, this expression will return true 50% of the time. Okay, on line 30, replace the comment. 30. Okay, replace the comment with this expression to complete the variable declaration. What? I see, so this is just getting a number, a random. Now that you have an expression that you can use to make a randomized decision in the code, next you need to implement this .render, the results component, as a child of Game of Chance. Game of Chance. Right, okay, so I already have this defined, so just do results. .50 Okay. Turn an expression based on props.5050. And would it be like greater than 0.5 or something? 0.5, I don't know, greater than 0.5. Turn you win, exclamation point, else return you lose, exclamation point. Is that all? No, something's not right here. 50-50. Passing the expression's defined. Oh, because this handle click. There's something else going on here. I'm gonna go ahead and check the console to be sure. Props is not defined. Oh yeah. Again, I'm just so used to the functional, like doing this the functional way. Ooh, this dot counter, what did I do? This dot props dot 50/50. Play again, you lose. Play again, you win. You lose, you lose. We're not incrementing the turn. This dot state and handle click. This dot state. Do you, let's see. It's correctly counting each turn's the username. How many times they played? Okay, so do I just do this dot state dot counter plus one? What I want? Cool. Change inline CSS conditionally based on a component's state. Code editor has a simple controlled input element with a styled border. You want to style this border red if the user types 15 characters or more. Okay, it'll change. We're already setting the input style. So do they want me to just say like input style dot border equals, and then like update it this way? 3px solid red. And then do, oh, we're in the render method. So we don't need to do that, but we can do if this dot state dot input dot length is greater than 15, then we'll do that. And let's see, 15, yeah, 15 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Cool. It's longer than 15, so it doesn't need to be length minus 1, or like 14. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, it's 14 characters. I'm confused. Input tag should be styled with a border of 3px solid red. Isn't that exactly what I'm doing? And isn't this 15 characters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's 15, 16. And there's the style. So what's going on here? Do they want me to define another input? So confused. Input tag should be styled with a border of 3px. That's what's going on here. And it's longer than 15, so it's I don't know. Maybe they would rather me do something like this. Input style equals a new object, border, colon, that. I don't know. If the input value and state is longer. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this. This is weird. Input value is longer than 15 characters. It is longer than 15 characters. Maybe what they wanted, because I actually think I like this better too, is to do our stuff here. A ternary expression. I don't know why I didn't think of this at first. I think because they said change the code below this line, I was thinking, oh, they want me to actually like write another if statement. Okay, that's dumb. It doesn't say anywhere in here that it has to be a ternary, but whatever. My to-do list. See what tests are passing. None of the tests are passing. Code editor has most of the my to-do list components set up. Some of this code should look familiar. If you completed the controlled form challenge, you'll notice a text area and a button along with a couple of methods that track their states, but nothing is rendered on the page yet. Inside the constructor, create a this.state object. Wow, that's all it took to get stuff to render. Define two states, user input as an empty string, to-do list as an empty array, delete the comment and render. And its place map over the items in the to-do list. Stored in the component's internal state and dynamically render an li for them. Okay, is this already UL? Okay, so I just render an li for them. Okay, so I need to do a this.state items to-do list map, use an arrow function here, and we return the ones that have do we just return all of them? That's dumb. There's got to be some, there's no like oh right, lix, that's what they want to do. Separate items with comma. Go to sleep. Walk the doggy. Shower the kitty. All right. I have to use this magic little thing here. Go on walk. Shower doggy. Throw kitty. Go on a walk. Shower doggy. Throw kitty. Is this everything? Yeah. Ooh, we're getting close. 94%. Give sibling elements a unique key attribute. Okay, we've got frameworks here. We're going to do the same thing, I bet you. Front end frameworks dot map x, and then an li x li. They care how I set this unique value. Each list item should contain it. I mean, it looks like I can literally just do key equals x. Oh, you know what I could do? I'm gonna do this. I've done this before to solve this exact problem. Just use the index. Actually, just to be extra sure, use the index plus the key. Yeah. And I want to go back on that just because I want to read what they actually have to say about it. Oh, they didn't save my progress. Last challenge, and we showed how. Gotcha. Yeah, I was wondering, I thought it was just for React use, but I didn't know if there's like something else that they said we could do with the keys. Okay, so we're going to filter an array. This is pretty cool stuff, in my opinion. Run the tests. What do we get? We got some of these things done. Should return a div and an h1 and then an unordered list containing the li elements for every user whose online status is set to true. So we got render online. We're gonna do the same bit here. This.state.users dot map x, bang, pass it in there, and then we're gonna do an li and an li. Pass this BS in here. So we'll start there. Why is it not rendering? Render online, users online. What's this? Render online, users online. Oh, interesting. This is so dumb that they want me to do it this way, because you can just filter, whatever, state.users, so then users online, and then this.state.users.filter x, return x dot online, and then get rid of these comments. Render online, users online dot map x passed into li x. And I should probably do the same thing they were talking about with indexes or the keys. Key likey equals x plus I. And then render online. Render online dot map. What is going on here? This is weird. Users online, build error, open every browser to learn more. I must have screwed something up. This.state.users.filter. All of my problems will be revealed. Well, some of my problems will be revealed in here. Invariant violation. Whoa, what is that? Minified. X is not defined. Okay. Oh, did I? Wait. What do you mean X is not defined? Huh? What is going on? Okay, I gotta do a clear again because I'm worried that I'm getting bogus feedback here. Run the tests. It'd be nice if they could put output what's in the console directly in here. I know that's probably tricky to do. Minified React error. Visit blah 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 for the full message. What the? I've never seen that before. Minified error. Dang it! Is this gonna be one of those dumb issues where it's just like a different version of React, so it's flipping out? Because it kind of looks like that. This.state.users.filter. Let's do console.log. Let's make sure we're getting something here. Oh, nice. That'll log it out here. Users online. Online true, online true, online true. Users online. Okay. Render online should be returning. Okay, I'm going to do this just to be extra sure that we're not getting weirdness with the fact that we're using an arrow function. I don't know why that would matter, but just in case. Let's back up a little bit. I thought that we were getting, did I see something here when we did? that. See any value up there? Unexpected token. Render online. Let's just do a basic test. Okay. It wants to render. And we have an array of guys we're working with here. So let's try just doing a map. Users.online. Sorry, users online dot map x, and then return just, oh shoot, what's going on there? Return just the li test li. Okay, so the problem appears to be that when, oh, I know what's going on. The problem is that these users they're an object. X would be the whole object. So we're basically saying like, hey, pass a whole object in here. What we need to do is pass the username. That's what's going on. And then we still need to do, can I do that? Is that valid? For some reason that's valid. I feel like it shouldn't be. X plus I. Build error. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it's not valid. Maybe it just doesn't give me any squiggly. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so that should be everything. Yep, awesome. Render React on the server with render to string. So far, you have been rendering React components on the client. Normally, this is what you want to do. However, there are some cases where it makes sense to render a React component on a server. Since React is a JavaScript view library, you can run JavaScript on the server with Node. This is possible. In fact, React provides a render to string method you can use for this purpose. There are two reasons why rendering on the server may be used in a real-world app. First, without doing this, your React apps would consist of a relatively empty HTML file and a large bundle of JavaScript. Then when it's initially loaded to the browser, this may not be ideal for search engines that are trying to index the content of your pages so people can find you. If you render the initial HTML markup on the server and send this to the client, the initial page load contains all of the page's markup. Okay, render to string method. Change the code below this line. Never done this before, actually. I've literally never touched React DOM server before. I have a feeling that it's again, like a lot of this stuff not really necessary because there's things like Next.js, which I think does this stuff for you. We're in a JSX file, so I guess we can do this. Yeah, is that it? There you go. Submit and go to next challenge. Okay, so that was the entirety of React. Oops, ask me later. That was all of the React stuff. So next we're doing Redux. So I'll create another stream for that. But that was all 47 React challenges. What time? How many hours are we at? 1 hour and 30 minutes of doing this. So about 3 hours, no, two and a half hours to get through this. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for watching this stream. I'll actually be back on probably in a little bit to start working on the Redux stuff, which I'm excited about because Redux has always been a sore spot for me. I've just never really fully gotten it. It's kind of, to me, it's very confusing, like especially coming right out of React with how they do state management. It's sort of a different kind of paradigm. That's a little tough to, at least it was tough for me to wrap my head around. So I will be back on in just a little bit with that Redux stream.